Hello everybody and a very warm welcome along to Sportsbet TV with me, Paul Alster. I'm looking ahead now to the Saturday action on the 28th of June, where there's lots of very good racing across Britain and Ireland. It's Irish Derby weekend at the Curragh, and there's some really good racing across Britain at a number of different tracks. We've got a slight technical hitch, so I'm bringing you this on a kind of simplified video version, but if you're new to the service, then please just press the subscribe button below this screen. You'll be able to follow all my free selections whenever they pop up. Now, I gave you a selection a day for Royal Ascot, and overall we showed a profit from the 5 choices. Karma's in particular, who was recommended at 6-1, did us really proud when he won the Queen's Vase on Wednesday, so I hope you were on at the recommended odds. And that came after Divine Comedy on the opening day had done really well, just scraping into the each-way money after not getting the best of runs in the Ascot handicap to come through for 5th at 28-1. So that was like a nice price winner as well. Later on in the week, Zaran, who we'd recommended at 10-1, was a massive gamble and ran a cracker to be second in the King Edward VII Stakes. The other 2 selections, well, Parole d'Oro didn't get the best of runs, but still ran with a lot of credit to be 8th in the Hunt Cup. The only one to really disappoint was Orazio, who was probably drawn, as it turned out, on the wrong side as well in the Wokingham handicap on Saturday. So overall, a profit to the notional £10 each way stakes at Royal Ascot from my 5 selections of £78. That can't be bad for free. Anyway, I have plenty of selections over at my Out in Front service where you can sign up by just clicking on the link below this screen in the description box. Definitely worth having on side as we move into some really heavy schedules of high-class racing across Britain and Ireland through the midsummer run. But I've got 2 selections for you at Newcastle on Saturday in the 2 big staying races. And starting off at 2:40 with the Northumberland Vase handicap, which is for those horses that didn't manage to make the cut in the Northumberland Plate itself. That comes up a little bit later on. It's notionally a Class 2 contest, but really it's more of a Class 4, maybe at a push a Class 3 race. So those who have been competing at a lower level aren't necessarily going to be out of their depth here. Now, Sir Mark Prescott has a very good record with stayers, as I'm sure many of you know, and his Godsend is typical of the man. It's a real improver this season since it's been stepping up in trip. Prescott, a real past master of improving his horses, and Godsend has been so well placed, masterfully, by Prescott. It's won 4 races in a row, but it's only beaten a total of 16 horses to win 4 races, going up £22, just over 1.5 stone as a result. This then, a 20-runner handicap, is a much tougher task. I think he'll do well to maintain the streak, although he could still have quite a little bit more to give. We'll see. Now, Harry Charlton's Trifan landed a Class 5 event in good style at Salisbury last time, but I think has to raise his game to score in this better race off a £5 higher mark. But Contacto, trained by Andrew Balding, who's also having a cracking season, has been competing at a good level throughout the last 12 months and has never run a bad race. Now, Contacto stays well and was beaten less than 2 lengths at Goodwood last time, which was his first run of the year, so there should be some improvement in him. I think he's a very serious contender, and if Contacto proves as effective on this service, having raced on turf thus far, he's going to be bang there. The booking of Jamie Spencer for Charlie Johnston's Artisan Dancer catches the eye, as this horse needs to be held up, and as we know, Spencer is about as good as there is when playing the waiting game. And similarly, Caprello for Hughie Morrison came from last to first to score over 2 miles at Kempton last time in a modest event. And I think he should be finishing off well under his £5 penalty, but whether he's good enough to raise his game to score remains to be seen. Brian Ellison has his horses flying at present, so his recent Southwell winner Hardy Bloke has to enter calculations, even though he does look fully exposed, especially under a £5 penalty. While the likes of Diane Sayers' consistent Savrolo, who steps up in trip, and the solid Gibbside from Tim Easterby's informed stable will be others who have their supporters and have a squeak. Now, Jolly Jim Goldie, fresh from his sensational Group 1 win at Royal Ascot last week. He runs 3 in this race. I find it hard to make a good case for his Midnight Lion, but the other two both have a shout. Let's Be Frank, trained by Jim, is a gelded son of the great Frankel, but has been very well placed by his handler last season to win 3 times. All 3 wins in the Racing League at distances between 1 mile and 3 and 2 miles and 1, and they resulted in him winning a very, very tasty £100,000 bonus for connections as the top scorer in the league in 24. He's been given some leeway by the handicapper, having not really shone overall in 5 runs so far this season. But it's Goldie's other runner, Humble Spark, who is my selection, with man of the moment Paul Mulrennan on board. He appears to be the preferred of the stable trio, as Mulrennan has chosen to partner him, as he did of course partner American Affair to that famous Group 1 victory last week at Ascot. Now 6 of Humble Spark's 7 career wins have come on the all-weather, and they include 4 at this track at 1 1/4 miles and 1.5 miles. And the 5-year-old appeared to run a career best when beaten just half a length, moving up to 2 miles at Haydock last time, where he found only the useful Caballo de Mare too good for him. And now they know he stays, I think he can be ridden with a bit more confidence at a track that's going to suit him better. He's a typically tough Goldie horse, versatile vis-a-vis ground and trip. I think Humble Spark has a really big shout in the Northumberland Vase Saturday at the 12 to 1 each way, offered for 5 places with William Hill. And so to my second selection on Saturday, the big one, the Newcastle 315, the Pitman's Derby, the Northumberland Plate handicap with 20 runners on the Tabata, which is standard. Well, one smooth operator for Brian Ellison is back to try his luck again off a £12 higher mark than 12 months ago. He clearly goes well here, and he went on last season to a famous success. Afterwards down in Australia in the Geelong Cup, so clearly is an improved performer. Now he isn't out of this despite top weight. The trainer with most runners in the race though is the flying James Owen. He's going to saddle 4, headed by his Chester Cup winner, East India Duck, who again ran well at Ascot last week when off an £8 higher mark in the 2.5 mile Ascot handicap. He was only beaten around 2 lengths. So that was a big effort, but will that have just taken the edge off him, off a very hard race run in pretty stifling heat? He turns out again quickly. His stable companions, Charging Thunder, Lavender Hill Mob and Shedjak, who is a new recruit to the yard, all have a squeak, but I think have a bit to find on current evidence. Now Who's Glen for Andrew Balding stayed on stoutly from the home turn to be 5th in the Chester Cup, hasn't raced since, so he's going to arrive here a relatively fresh horse. He's going to be better off as well with his Chester Conqueror. He's a 4-year-old. He's likely to have more improvement in him, and no surprise at all to me to see the bookies making him favourite at about 11 to 2. I think there could be a nice race in him. It possibly could be this one. Balding also runs the tough Spirit Mixer, runner-up at Goodwood last time on soft ground, but of course probably best known for that great battle he gave Trushan in this race a few years ago, the race in which Trushan broke the world record weight-carrying performance or handicap mark of about 120 when he won this race. Now, as was amply demonstrated once again at Ascot last week, Willie Mullins is to be feared in Britain whether he bids for honours on the flat or over jumps, and he runs the ex-John and Thady Gosden trained Papano, who was placed in listed company for the Gosdens in October and then pulled up on his hurdles bow, which came no less in the Triumph Hurdle won by his 100 to 1 stable companion Ponyross. That was his debut for Willie Mullins. Now he won over 1.75 miles on the all-weather at Southwell last September, so he should cope with the artificial surface and is potentially a danger if things drop right for him under Jamie Spencer. Dancing in Paris for Ian Williams, a 1.5 mile all-weather winner at Southwell last August, subsequently ran a fine race to be 3rd in the very competitive and valuable Old Borough Cup at Haydock over 1.75 miles, and then after more than 6 months off shaped well until he got tired over 1.5 miles here at Newcastle last month. Since then he has showed the benefit of that run. He only failed by half a length to win at Goodwood over 1.75 miles last time, despite encountering traffic problems, and if he stays the 2 miles he should go pretty close, I think. Now we know Golden Rule stays the 2 miles. He's trained by Thomas Faulkner. He's unexposed, having had very little racing in recent seasons, and that's since finishing runner-up in this race 2 years ago. He's clearly had a very serious issue, though, that has kept him away from the track. But he ran really well, I thought, after a massive absence when he was 4th at Kempton 3 months ago. Is £4 lower now than his big effort in the race in 2023. And Duke of Oxford for Michael Bell is very solid in staying handicapped and is another not without a chance, and he's ridden by a very promising young £7 claimer. But my selection here at Sportsbet is an Irish challenger, Zandabad, trained by Tony Martin and the mount of Jim Crowley. Now Zandabad is a capable horse in Ireland. I thought that he had a rather tender ride 3 weeks ago in a handicap at the Curragh over an inadequate trip. That was his first run since January, so he was entitled to need the outing. I think he's been teed up for this race, and he's going to put up a bold show, despite being drawn wider than ideal in stall 15, which even in a 2-miler at Newcastle has a slightly negative effect, because it's not long, that run up towards the fairly sharp first bend, and you can easily lose your position if you're not handy. He's the best price, 12 to 1 each way is Zandabad for a very shrewd yard. That's with Bet365, and they've already been backing him at bigger odds earlier in the week. So Zandabad is my choice there in the Northumberland Plate to go along with Humble Spark in the earlier race, the Northumberland Vase. And if you're interested in more selection for the weekend and going forward, remember that monthly subscription at Out in Front can be found by pressing the link in the description box just below this screen. Whatever you're backing, whatever you're doing this weekend, have a great time and the best of luck. Bye-bye for now.